in programs like these during these times. So before I introduce our hosts and guests for this session, I do just want to encourage people to participate in this chat. We're looking for it to be a pretty continuous conversation. You can click on the chat at the bottom of your screen on Zoom. And if you have any questions for the group, please put them in there at any time throughout the chat. I'm gonna moderate and feed those questions to both Eileen and Stacy, who will be taking charge after I give them a brief intro. So you can also raise your hand if you utilize the participants feature. Give me a thumbs up with the reactions, anything if you have something specific that you want to share, because again, we're encouraging this to be interactive as well as educational for everybody. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Eileen Wisniewski, who is the director for the Career Education Center. Eileen, if you want to give a wave. And then also Stacy Moulton, who is our associate director. So we have done a lot of collaboration with them, not just in this time, but throughout the years at networking events, a lot of things on campus for our students, and we're always obviously looking for ways to get our alums involved in the career world for our students. So Stacey and Eileen are going to take us through this chat, and again, please feel free to participate. I'll be looking for questions or comments. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Marie. And just as a side note, Marie was one of my students when she was a student here. So happy to be here. What I wanted to do initially was just to walk you through where is career education right now and how have we really shifted and pivoted pretty quickly to help the students. Thankfully, we have been working with students virtually for years. When students go abroad over the summer, we use Skype at the time. So just getting used to Zoom was probably the biggest challenge for us. A lot of our team has worked on the weekends or in the evenings from home. So I think that we were able to adjust pretty quickly. I'm happy to say that so we are actually in a contest. So I worked with the team and we broke the coaches up into groups of 3. And the competition is how many workshops and appointments can we have during the month of April. So from April 1st to April 16th, we saw we had over 100, almost 100 appointments with students. And that broke out to about 79 individual students. This was really, I think, a huge success for us because mostly we knew that the students were retreating into a shell. They really had to try to adjust. So all of the activity that we have been seeing is a result of all of the coaches actively reaching out individually to students, emailing groups of students, going to clubs and orgs, talking to faculty members and coaches, and trying to get in front of as many students as possible. We've had over 17 workshops in the last 5 or 6 weeks. I can't even count anymore. And last night or 2 nights ago, we actually had the greatest success in that we had about 115 students attend a PC grads presentation on LinkedIn. So we're pretty excited about that. And the best thing is that the students actually stayed through the entire session, which was great. A couple of resources that we've been acquiring over the last year or two has also helped us with the students. So we have a system called Handshake, and that allows for students to apply and sign up for different events virtually. So that's been great. We recently acquired, just before we ended up working remotely, a system called Big Interview, and that is basically virtual interviewing practice. So there are questions that the students can go in, they can record themselves and then play it back and see and give themselves feedback. We also have a system called VMock that is an artificial intelligence resume reviewer, and we've had that for about a little over a year now, and students are actively taking part in having the system work through their resumes. We are actively doing professional skills workshops, and what we're trying to do with everything is record it so that if a student had class and they weren't able to go to that event, that they can come back and watch it later on. And we've been seeing a really great open rate with all of our newsletters. We made a decision at the divisional level that all faculty, all staff, parents and students receive our newsletter every Sunday, and that walks students through all the offerings that we have. The last one that we want to talk about today, and it's really when we think about how can alumni help and give back to the students, and that would be Firelink. So I'm going to turn this over to Stacy, and she will walk you through the Firelink system. Basically, if you think of LinkedIn and Netflix, and they made a new system, that's what this system is for our students and alumni. Oh, you're muted, Stacy.
You're muted, yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to do that before. Like, I have children in the house, so I don't want them barging in. So I did look over. I know some of you are members of Firelink, so thank you, and I'll maybe ask for your experience afterwards. I will give a high-level overview, but please, as they mentioned before, put questions in chat. We really like to keep this informal and answer questions as we go along. I'll kind of give you a demo, so I'm going to share my screen. And the way that I have this is as an alum. So I think everyone should be able to see this. So this is basically, once you're logged in and have an account, this is what you would look like, the home screen would look like. If you don't already have an account, when you go through the process, I already have one, so you don't, you'll be able to update your profile and join. You will need an approval, so we pretty much approve on the daily basis, and you'll be able to get in. Once you're in, you'll have an image, and you can click that, and you can always make changes. So even if you just want to join quickly one day, you could do that and then go back to kind of fill in your profile. This is very similar for those of you who already have a LinkedIn account, and you can actually import your LinkedIn profile to help you build it. This has a few differences than LinkedIn that I'll really talk about that makes it more Providence College, more Friar friendly. You'll be able to go in, and we definitely encourage you to try to complete your profile as much as possible. It will just help, as I'll explain later on, students being able to connect you. Kind of like Match. It's almost like LinkedIn meets Match.com, and they'll be able to get recommendations for who they should connect with. You can put your pictures in, you go through obviously your profile, your college information, your work information, different things there. You can connect with Facebook if you want to make everything connect when you make a post. This is one of the areas that's unique. So when you go in to log in, you'll have these features, and I clicked every single one of them, but you can choose which ones you're more comfortable doing. So we make this easy. So if a student is looking, I just want to have an informational interview, or I'm looking for major help, first generation, those types of things, they can look here. So actually first generation is one help topic I don't have clicked up here. But then it just helps them kind of be able to identify, oh, this student might make, this alum might be really helpful for me. And actually making the most of your time is one of our popular topics that we actually have when we look at the different things. You're able to put the industries that you could help. So you could put as few or as many as you wanted, and then just additional information. So this, because I'm not a PC alum, I don't have things here, but you may want to start doing some of these different ones. So basically, I think by now we've pretty much captured all the different clubs that are or have been at PC, but if someone has found that we haven't, they just shoot us an email and we've been able to add it. So this is, again, something that a student could quickly look and say, oh, we share a group in common when they're reaching out to an alum, and just kind of makes that connection a little bit quicker for them, and maybe kind of an icebreaker that they can talk about. We also have varsity athletic sports and spirit groups that they can join, honor societies, leadership and mentor programs, as well as different things here. So you can pick as few or as many as those. So that's one of the areas that after, even if you input from LinkedIn, you could go back and change those there. Another feature that's nice is the preferences. And this is where you can talk about how you want to receive notifications from students. or alumni, when they connect with you, you can choose if you want to get, discussion posts, similar things that you would see elsewhere. They also have notifications. You can talk about if your availability, if you want maybe 1 or 2 or 5 email or contacting a week or a month, you can do that. You can shut off your notifications. You can make it so you're not available. So if you had a career, I just think about my father with accounting season. If you're really busy during tax season, you could make your availability not there and then turn it back on. So there's flexibility with that. The other thing that is nice that you can go back and do is a matching quiz. It just gives you some different questions. So that way, when you first log on, you will see recommendations and students will see that as well. And when I mentioned it's like kind of a match.com or even Instagram or all the different social medias, the more that they're filling out and the more that they're clicking on people, the recommendations are going to change. But that's kind of the back end of where things are.
Stacy, can I hop in
Yes.
for a question that I'm seeing?
Yes.
I think, so one of the questions that came up was, do we know how many users are on Firelink right now? And if I'm not mistaken, I know off the top of my head, we have just shy of 1,300 alums, I believe.
Yes. Yep. It's about 2,000 total. And I think it might be, about the 1,300 with alumni. So we've kind of been rolling this out. It's been about 2 years. The first year was kind of just getting up and running, and then we've really been launching it lately. And even now, since this whole pandemic has started, I'd say we probably get up to 5 every day. Alum and students are starting to use it. One of the things I'm going to go into is the discussions. We're starting to see some alums post some questions or even just giving some advice, which is really great. So it's up and running, and the students as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we wanted to make sure that when we launched this, that we took our time, because we wanted to make sure that there were enough alumni in there when the students started to come in. So now we're really at the place where we're marketing it much more heavily to the students as well.
Yeah. And what we've heard, just even from students, they still are a little bit nervous reaching out to alums, and that's where we're also mentioning, which I'll show you, they can post discussion questions. So instead of just doing the one-on-one, they can do it, just put a question out there. They can also be anonymous if they want to do that. But I can take you kind of for a tour for these different things. And I will show you the student view as well. So this is, as an alum, this is a view that you would have. So one of the things that we rolled out kind of in the phase 2 was alumni to alumni. So you can go into the system and connect with fellow Friars by clicking Find a Friar. And then, so this is where they're going to show you who's people that are online now, people that are just in the system. And this is where, based on what you put in, it will show you different alumni recommendations. You can, if you see someone that you like, you can flag them. You can click on any of these here. Don't want to, someone's mine, but if you click on these, sorry, I'm not used to doing this with, I don't know why it's not. Here we go. And this is just very similar to the student view as well. You can bookmark them if it's someone that if you're an alum and you want to reach out to someone, or more students would be able to do this if they're looking for different people. You can connect, you can just click a profile and you can go through and see what they've done. So you can see all the different areas she's worked in, different trends, and that sort of thing. And the more
yep. I'm sorry, keep going.
Go ahead.
Another question just stemming off of that is, just can you guys talk a little bit more about some of the ways that we're driving students to the platform?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yep, for sure. So we are pretty much every newsletter now that we're talking about, we're promoting networking and telling them about this. To use this, and we will explain, LinkedIn's great. It has a lot. I mean, if you've ever gone to the Providence College alumni page, it's got 30,000 or so alumni. What this is kind of the warm call. So while LinkedIn certainly use it as a resource, if you use Firelink, these are alums that have made an extra step to join here to be a resource to students. So they're warm calls and can look. In individual appointments, we will encourage them to join. parents see our newsletter as well, so we're pushing that out more. We had, when we did the initial blast, we had Firelink Day, and people came and got donuts and cookies and joined. What we realized is that they've joined, so now we have all the captured in a system that we will, after this, be able to roll out and say, okay, it's great that you joined. Please, now let's go in and use this. Use our virtual coaching appointments to do this. We can actually go online with them, help them craft the email message, that sort of thing. What Firelink does when a student does craft a message to an alum, it gives them help features. So if they were to say, hey, Marie, it would give them a red flag. You might want to use a better greeting for the person you're reaching, and kind of really walks them through the steps. So a big part of it is in our coaching appointments and our emails and our messaging to students is getting them to not be so nervous, to not be so timid and shy to reach out to alum. And I think we're slowly going to start seeing things change. And one of the things that we also like to talk about is, as you can see, you could just scroll through here. So they can even use this as just, let me see what other alumni are doing. I don't really want to connect with someone right now, which I'll show you. We can go into the groups and the discussions and that sort of thing. So, all right, I'll kind of go on. With the Find a Friar, or if it was a student, Find an Alumni, they do have these different search features. Some of the fields, as you'll see when you go in, you can click them. So obviously it would be a little bit easier to find. Others, you can type in free form, the different majors. So what we tell students, and I would encourage any of you, if you wanted to search, is do a few different searches. So maybe go in, if you want to look for a location, Georgia, but then there's not that many, open up your search a little bit. Just try different filters and different searches that you can do if they want to get something specific. Also, when you put yourself in here, you might not click all the categories that you might think of. One alum that comes to mind is an attorney, but he was a music attorney. He puts himself as entertainment, but a student may think of, okay, lawyer. So they might not think to go to entertainment to find a lawyer. So even with myself, I'm in career services, career education, but I also do the marketing here. So I would tell students try different categories because these are self-selected fields that people can put into. So it might not, what you're thinking about a career field might not be what a student is thinking. So we'll tell them to do kind of different searches there.
And when we think about all of our professional careers, I sold cars and insurance, so I'm able to, through the system, put everything that are the industries that I can speak to in addition to what I'm doing now as a career coach too.
Yeah. I actually had someone reach out to me recently about State Street, which was where I first started to work. I mean, that was now 14 years ago, so I don't know if my advice was still valid, but I was still able to talk about kind of just starting off in a large organization. So that's the other thing that we're really trying to push out, and I like a lot, are the groups. So we set up, and forgive me if I scroll this, there was an error message, so it's like 14 orientation groups right now. But we didn't want to do these, except it does seem like accounting and finance is by major. It's more by broad career fields, knowing that, myself, I was a philosophy and criminal justice major, but my first job was in finance. So your major doesn't define what you are. You can join as many of these groups as you want. There are a few that are locked, so you would just need permission. So Fire Athletes, for example, is one that is locked. Orientation will be a private group, so you would just need to put permission. So this is where, so we have an orientation group, there's nonprofit, marketing and media, law and government. And what this is that there's a different career coach from our office that is a moderator in these groups and kind of helps to encourage different conversations. But this is where students could come and say, okay, well, I just want to see who is, in this group that I'm interested in, and can learn and kind of connect and see who's in here, discussion questions based on this field. So we'll post some, you can comment to them. And this is where, if you wanted to comment, they could click that they want to be anonymous. Alums can join in. So just like a lot with LinkedIn and different chats, different resources. And again, some of these this is one area that we will be building, but there's resources and just how to be a resource to students, how to have that first meeting on there and that sort of thing that they can do. So these are the different groups.
Stacey, I'm
Then
going to pop in with
Yep.
two questions. I'm going to pause here because I think we're
Okay.
in a good spot.
Oh, good.
So I think I can probably help or at least chime in for some of these. But one of the questions was that, you know, we do have just shy of 1,300 alums, you know, and the question was about whether we can quantify the amount of active users that are really participating in the platform. You know, we can obviously see when people are live. But one of the things that I did want to talk about was that we have a couple of features that will allow us to nudge our alumni who maybe have received a message from a student but haven't gotten back to them, or have an unfinished profile that is on the brink of being completed. So we do have a couple. Those are tools that I think are really useful on our end that we're able to use to reach out to those people.
Yep.
So you know, if there's anything that you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, that will be, you know, as a good follow-up from this meeting and a lot of the engagement, a lot of the alums that are reaching out and saying, how can we be a resource for the students? I can go in and click all the students that have a profile but haven't used it and encourage them. It's great that you've joined Firelink. Please continue to use this, and different things that we can do to kind of encourage it. And there is a lot of analytics. They've changed it on the back end where we can see where they are across the states, how many alums, when kind of they have joined. So we can see there was an uptick in this past month of joining. In addition to, I know I'm talking a lot about the alumni and students, we do also have friends of PC. So if there's, you know, parents, employers that want to be a resource but aren't necessarily a friar, we do allow them to join as well, and faculty. So there's a lot of different resources that students can look at in different groups here as well. And we can get the stats and all that. As well as if you were to have a meeting with a student, you would get a feedback sheet afterwards. So right now what we're seeing is definitely there's students using it. There's probably a big group of students that are using it a lot, or rather a small group that are using it a lot. And the feedback has been very positive so far. So an alum can rank, or, you know, how the student did. They can put if the student didn't get back to them. So then we can actually reach out and say, you know, you reached out to this alum and then you never heard back from them. So we can kind of on the back end help those students more instantaneously, you know, make a better impression of themselves.
Absolutely. And then I think that this question will just dive right into this other one. I think these are somewhat linked. You know, I think creating more activity on the site is something that is imperative at this point, as we want students and alumni both to be active on there. So, you know, one of the questions was, are people using this more for networking advice, for interview tips, for navigating PC life? Is there a specific reason that they're using it? And, you know, I think I'll just also add that, you know, you've been pointing out these groups and these discussions. These are the things that the newer features that we're hoping to continue to utilize. And, you know, we're needing the support of the alums that are in here now to be populating that. But I don't know, do you know offhand, Stacey, what most students have been using the platform for?
Yeah, when the students have gone in, whether it's because they've been encouraged for a class to network or to connect with alumni, they're reaching out for kind of that informational interviewing that we know of. So finding out about the career information, also job search advice. So those are the top topics, that, and then how to transition to life after PC. So they're just reaching out, and, you know, when you can start off with the email and then choose to have a conversation or move it other ways. One thing at the same time, while we understand how important this is, I've heard in different conferences and meetings that we're going to, that students still find it overwhelming. So trying to even promote this, that students can have the word networking to them is even a little bit overwhelming. So to say, have these quick conversations, have a 20-minute conversation with an alum, reach out. And I think now that students are having time, it might be after the end of the semester, but now all of a sudden they're going to be home and have a little bit more time and start to realize, okay, now I really need to figure out how to get these skills. I'm anticipating and hoping that we're going to start to see more students actually use this. And that's where we're going to start to really roll out more tips on saying this is just a great way to either post a question generally. And I think that's where one of the questions that we're definitely getting, and even alums are stepping up saying, hey, I can help, or I was in a similar situation. is just kind of, what do we do? My internship isn't here anymore, that I thought it's not a good job market. What can I do? So that's where, if as an alum you've been through this, or if I talk to an alum or have gone on a webinar, we're encouraging even staff members to go back and post questions to the discussion, try to just get some feedback that way, that hopefully will keep organically turn into one-on-one conversations as well. And that's where I can even just, while you have discussions within the groups, when you first go on, you can have different articles, images. So even as we as career coaches find things, we're doing that. And then you can respond to things, you can like them, you can pin them, all those kinds of things you can do. But we try to prompt some of the questions, and then hopefully it'll be a lot more organic, but even just asking for advice. A few alums did respond that they've been through it and had some really great advice that students could hear and read as they're using this, different resources that are available to kind of help. And then you can always share this to invite other friends as well. Anyone questions? I can quickly show the student view as well.
We do just have a question about, how we can give our students a framework for informational interviews, which I know that they do get from the office. And I think, prepping them for those things, really, how are we explaining to them the value of something as simple as an informational interview?
Yep. We definitely have a resource and a packet that gives them questions and that sort of thing. Every single coaching appointment that we have, we talk about networking. I used to, when I did career coaching myself, would tell everyone it's, alumni made my job very easy. When I run the shadowing program, I don't have to do much outreach to get over 120 alums volunteer. The Friar network just really is strong, and you can see that a lot now as well. So just telling them that, now's the time to find out, okay, so I wanted to have an internship in finance and I don't now, what can I do? And this would be a fantastic way, is to talk to people to find out, what should I be doing with this summer that now I don't have an actual internship experience. It might be to read the Wall Street Journal, or here's a good resource to use, or just even exploring right now. Finance is so big, marketing is so big. What are some of these areas, even nonprofits, where can you work? Finding out what the culture, or rather the hiring trends are for the industries, those sorts of things that we can do. And I think just having, where one of the things in our newsletter that we mentioned, it's grown, where we used to try to be short. Now this is kind of the one-stop Sunday. Students get everything they need. We send it to parents. We're featuring different alumni. Right now we're doing a focus on alumni in the front line, so they're learning about different careers that way. We're also featuring students that are maybe starting their own business or doing something unique in this time, to try to really highlight just learning about careers and exploring things, as well as different resources. And we do different spins. Sometimes we'll go in depth. Sometimes we'll say, hey, have a quick conversation. Just trying to mix it up too. And hoping that parents are going to read this and really encourage their students to utilize the Friar network.
Awesome.
Spring was really designed to be our big launch to students. We implemented, I'm going to say, 5 different systems in about 2 years. So we've tried to roll things out a little more slowly. And when the students started to be remote and have virtual classes, we've intentionally laid a little bit back to try to make sure that they're getting set and dealing with the challenges that they already have to do to finish their semester. A couple of things that we are working on is looking at, can we put a summer program together that would allow a student who may have not already received an internship, or have found themselves with an internship that was rescinded, or a senior that's graduating and not feeling like they want to go and look for a position, or they're just not having that opportunity. And we're putting together a program that will give them a plethora of different opportunities so that they can still continue to work on their professional development. And this is definitely one of the first things that we'll be pushing forward to the students.
Awesome. And just to explain, I did switch this. So this is, students see very similar and this is my fake student, so it's not a good profile, but it's different. It just says connect with alumni, and then basically they have a matching quiz as well, and based on that information, it will give them a recommendation. They can remove the match. You can see who their bookmarks are, things that they have in common. So it makes it very user-friendly for the student, and then they can just almost like Instagram, keep liking things, or Pinterest or whatnot, and it will get more customized the more that they're looking at things. Well,
that's awesome. I actually have a question for the group. For anybody that's on the call that has a profile, I would love to know if there's an interest to receive more or to hear more from us from the Firelink platform specifically, because for those who have profiles know that, you know, the headliner usually has Firelink at the top. You know, just knowing that you get a lot of communication, I think we obviously don't ever want to overdo communication from the college in particular, but if there is a desire, I would love to know. Have any feedback? You can either respond in the chat or give me a thumbs up. Anything works, no worries. Or if you don't want to hear from me, I'll just take it, that's fine. I'm A-okay.
While we wait for if anyone's going to respond, I would just also encourage that to be patient, because we are getting students used to this. So even if you go and join today, thank you. But then just please be patient and just try to put some discussion, questions, answers, motivation in there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up and yeses for more info from us from Firelink, which is definitely great. So definitely expect to hear from us now having the green light. But the biggest thing that I can't stress is it's definitely something that we want to build up. So for the people that are in that platform, you know, really asking to participate in the groups and the discussions, while it might seem like the groundwork now is kind of soft, like we need to definitely build it up. And I know that Career Ed's been in there posting a lot of questions. It does function like LinkedIn a lot. You know, you can share articles, you can share news or relevant tips or tricks. So it really is a great platform to use. So I just want to stress it on that end, because I think as we continue to get people, it's definitely also important to generate the discussions and the activity in the platform as it exists.
I wanted to just also add, and I think this relates to the most recent question that came across the chat. I do think that starting to promote events or activities that, even though they're virtual, through the platform will help to drive more students to visit there on a more regular basis. So, you know, Marie and Stacy and Eileen and I have been having some discussions about setting up Zoom calls similar to this, but for students that feature an alum talking about a certain topic, because our alumni are coming forward saying that they want to help. So we had somebody that is a teacher and wanted to help give tips to anybody who is considering a teaching profession on how to teach remotely and to use you know, the virtual platforms. So, you know, if we started hosting things like that and advertising them, like in this banner on the top that you see that it says "You're never alone in Friartown," switching that out and advertising some programs that are happening, I think will help to drive more students to the platform on a regular basis. So, you know, exactly what you're saying, kind of in the chat. You know, using, you know, when a recruiter is coming onto campus, you know, obviously that will be when we're up and running back to normal. But for now, any virtual opportunities that we may have, kind of cross promoting them through the platform, I think will definitely help.
Awesome, thanks, Sarah. And then I'm going to just speak a little too. I'm seeing a success story. And I think we're still early on in the use of Firelink and really developing it, but I think it's just a huge success that we've seen such an uptick in people that want to use it during this time. And we have gotten a lot of responses from people, as Sarah said, of alums who really want to help at this current time, and who we have identified through the Firelink platform. So I think that that's a huge success in itself, and we're going to continue to actively move forward promoting it and generating content within the platform. So does anybody have any last minute questions? This is a good, are you leveraging the faculty to promote the platform to students? For example, the business school, which we are definitely, I think I can speak to being in collaboration with the business school. But Stacy or Eileen, do you want to add anything to that question?
The business school is certainly helping to promote this, and they're doing something unique and something that we've partnered with them this year, and we'll hopefully roll it out to the rest of the campus starting in the fall. We use another online platform called Suitable, and basically it's student engagement in a professional development way. So when they are able to go to a workshop, they can get points towards badges, excuse me, that allows them to kind of have a better language about what their experiences are and how they can convey that to an employer. That I worked on my professional development while I was here. Well, it actually is required for all first-year students right now in the School of Business to gain 250 points. And we work with them. In fact, their deadline is next Friday. So we have a couple of workshops coming up tomorrow and Monday to help the people who might have drag their feet a little bit to make sure that they're able to get their 250 points. And in there are different ways that they can use our career resources. So for example, if a student goes into Firelink and activates their account, they would be able to get 10 points. If they then join a group and they're able to connect with an alum on the system, they also will get 10 points. So we're trying to use this gamification process to push the students into the platforms that we're using.
Awesome. Thanks, Eileen. Any other comments or questions?
Stacy, do you mind talking a little bit more about Handshake?
Sure. So Handshake is our platform that we encourage students to use for, jobs and internship database. So anytime an employer or an alum calls and says we have this internship opportunity, or even a fellowship or a full entry-level job, we encourage them to post there. In addition to that, it's our resource for students to go for all of our events. So we're trying, Firelink is our networking platform. Handshake is for events, job search, internship search, as well as how they now can schedule appointments, or they've actually been able to do this, but they can schedule online appointments. So all of our virtual appointments can be done through the platform. And it's a database that a lot of schools use now, so it gives students just so many more opportunities than our previous system that we had, because just now employers can post to 5 different schools. So it gives them more geographical reach for jobs and employers. So still, right now we're having a little slower getting new job opportunities and internships right now, but they can still go and explore employers as well. And when we do get some in, we're pushing that out.
As Stacy mentioned, we do in our newsletter, and also in different communication with the students, we're trying to make sure that we're pushing out employers who are posting positions today, just to show that that is still happening. The other thing that we're seeing just in trends is a lot of organizations are trying really hard to see if they can help the students have a virtual experience over the summer. A lot of the big 4 accounting firms are looking at a 2-week or a 5-week virtual program, so that the students are still getting that experience. So we are seeing that. TJX, we just found out earlier this week that although they canceled all of their offers, rescinded their offers for internships and full-time positions. What they are doing is for students that were accepted to go in as a junior for their internships, they are granting them a full-time offer for when they graduate. And for sophomores that had an internship, they're giving them an advanced offer for next summer. So we're excited about that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of other organizations that are just saying we can't do it this year.
Awesome. All right, any other comments? Anybody have any comments on Firelink in general, Handshake, or any other clarifications needed?
Or, if you currently have a profile in Firelink, are there things, suggestions, or things that you would love to see us implement to kind of help you utilize that service?
All right. Well, we are always welcome to comments, to feedback, questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I was hit with my first question of what was my first job, and I did think about it after I answered. And I would argue that the blood, sweat, and tears of babysitting and waitressing were actually my first job. So I wanna stress that. I started with this being my first one, but if that counts, those were definitely the nitty gritty that got me here. So please, I can't stress enough the need to reach out to us if you have questions about either of these platforms, and to please stay tuned with things that are going to be coming up on the horizon. Very grateful. Am I echoing? I don't know if I am. So, Eileen, Stacy, Sarah, any closing remarks?
I'd just like to thank all the alums for support. I recognize some of them from shadowing programs and networking nights that I've met either virtually or in person over the years. So just thank you very much for supporting the students. It's really appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Very grateful for you to hop on and hang with us this afternoon. So stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.